This is Don't Panic, episode number 203, recorded May 14th, 2018. Rate while you ride. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on gadgets, the internet, and you, of course. I'm Shaun, joined as always by two guys who are up to fight for your right to party. It is Colby Revidu and Dan Miller.
Woo! Yes, sir.
That's
I was
right.
fighting for your right all weekend.
That you live that fight, man. You are on the front lines every day. You know, people don't understand the sacrifice you make for this country.
It was rough.
I believe
Spent all weekend in Philadelphia celebrating our movie draft victory.
Yes, indeed. What's the most movie themed place in Philadelphia? I guess it would probably be the Museum Steps from Rocky, right? Is there a more iconic?
Yeah, yes, we did see them from afar and decided not to walk up to them.
Why so?
They were too far away. And also, we saw we saw a museum, and we were like, "Oh, that must be the Rocky Steps." Wow, they're a lot smaller than it looks like in the movie. And then we kept walking down the road, and then you see in the distance this like acropolis of steps. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a lot of steps.
not the right museum.
Wrong one. What was the coolest thing you saw in Philadelphia?
We did go to the Magic Garden, which is this appointment-only glass, like outdoor full experience glass sculpture that you like walk around inside of, and there's like weird nooks and crannies you can stick your head in and see interesting things, and an attached house that is also all like mosaic that this one guy built over decades and decades. That was cool. We went to a cocktail bar with an extremely strict dress code where we got like dressed down by the guy at the front door. Like actually, he did not disguise the fact that he looked at your shoes. He looked at your pants. He looked at your shirt. He made sure you were well kept.
And did you get in?
You in. We did. But we had to buy stuff in order to get in. We went to
Oh boy,
Macy's, and then we accidentally went to the oldest department store in America where they invented the price tag, and they have they have the largest organ in the world in this department store that was playing. So it was actually not a complete waste of time to go buy shoes.
wow.
But yeah, those were probably the two coolest things we did.
What was the dress code at this place?
No sneakers, no bare legs showing. I guess that was the dress code.
No shirt, no shoes, no service.
But I think it was like you have to look nice, but specifically no sneakers.
No. That's tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky.
Well,
no sneakers, no open-toed shoes.
But would they have let you in with like a Hawaiian shirt?
I think if you were wearing like a Hawaiian. No jeans, right? No jeans. So if you were wearing like a Hawaiian shirt I was wearing a nice pair of jeans and they let me in. If you were wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a nice pair of jeans or like white or tan slacks,
Yep.
Probably, and like nice shoes.
Okay, and what if you were wearing like nice khakis with maybe like a button-up collared shirt, and then a complete 10-gallon cowboy hat? Do you think they would let you in?
Yes.
Yes. Hats are cool. Okay.
I think they're down for eccentricity.
They're down to clown. Yeah.
How are the cocktails?
They were good. I was not amazed. They were not down. So they passed the aviation test. They made a good aviation with all the right stuff. So it was a competent bar. I had one of the drinks off their menu. It was good, and I tried to do like a bartender's choice thing, even though that wasn't explicitly laid out, and they weren't really game for that. So I give them a B. It was good.
Cool.
Sing Laundry was what it was called. Hang on, I'll find it.
Sing Laundry.
Sing, yeah, that actually sounds right.
Bye.
Neat.
Hop Sing Laundromat. If you're in Philly, check it out. I also learned that it's okay to call it Philly. They're not weird about that like San Francisco.
What are people weird about in San Francisco? SF?
San Fran.
Oh, San Fran. Yeah, I never called it San Fran when I lived there.
Well, that's exciting. Philadelphia. Fun.
Yeah.
Fun. Very good.
Cool. I went to Rhode Island for Mother's Day.
I'm sure there are a lot of moms there.
There are. I'd say there are. I'm just guessing at like mom demographics, but I feel like there are 300,000 moms in Rhode Island.
Now, would you consider that an above average or below average amount of moms?
Yeah, like what? How does that relate to the Dunkin' Donuts per capita?
Yeah, what's the mom to
Dunkin'
Dunkin'? How many moms could you fit in a Dunkin' Donuts?
Well, they say, I don't know if this is true anymore, but I hope it is, that Rhode Island has the most Dunkin' Donuts per capita of any
You said
state
this many
in the
times.
country.
That's why
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Indeed. I feel like they probably have a normal like amount of moms per capita, like the regular
That would make
amount.
sense.
Yeah, I don't know how easy it is to compare Dunkin' Donuts and moms. Like, presumably, like moms would be there would be more moms per capita than Dunkin' Donuts per capita. So I don't know how you would compare. Like maybe you could compare the difference between Rhode Island and somewhere else.
But if that were to not be true anywhere, it would be Rhode Island.
I think that's true.
So you'll have to report back.
Yes.
Consult
our lead mom researcher, Colby. Yep.
I guess so.
Yep, we're gonna get some cards made up.
I feel like you might have that title, Shaun.
Lead mom researcher.
Yeah, from the story with Joe's mom, I think you got some.
You do have the most mom stories.
No, I'm a PhD in momology. Okay, that's
that's academic.
Oh,
It's not
absolutely
really practical.
That's right. I've never practiced my craft, but I know it well.
Oh boy.
Yep. Moms per capita.
Wowee. How was your weekend, Shaun?
Oh my goodness! I'm so glad you asked. It was fine. I went to my first. So we haven't really talked about it on the show before. I'm looking for a house.
Oh, that's right. I actually forgot.
Which is exciting. Yes, I don't brag about it too much. And I went to my first open house this weekend.
Oh,
so that was.
I hear that's an important step in acquiring a house.
Yeah, don't go to a closed house. They do not like that. They're very upset, especially when you do it in the dead of night. So, no, the interesting thing about the current housing market is it's bananas. Even where I live, houses sell in like 2 days, and open houses are mad houses because there's just such a low amount of inventory of homes that they go quickly. And so the place was very busy, but I ended up not. I thought it was overpriced for what I was getting. But I had an in-ground pool, so we could have had pool parties, but I guess not.
That's a shame.
But I also would never use a pool, so I skipped on that. So that was interesting, and I got lots of showings lined up for the next couple weeks, so
very cool.
Keep looking on that.
Are you looking for houses in your current area or in
Yeah, I'm looking in the greater Springfield area. The Agawams, the Westfields, the Chickapees, all those great places. The Southwicks.
All the great places.
Very cool.
Yeah, some neat options. So yeah, it's exciting.
Do you have a must-have feature for a house?
Ooh,
like
good question.
Shaun Jennings' dream home.
You know, it's funny. My dream home is very lame because it's like I don't care about like granite countertops or any of that kind of like wood floors. It's like I need. I want gas heat. I want forced air hopefully with central air. But if you don't get central air, if it's forced air, you can always add central air later.
What's forced air?
So in houses in the Northeast, there are three common types of heat. The sort of worst option is steam, where they actually pump steam, like you have, Colby, in your apartment.
Yeah.
Me
totally.
too.
Yeah.
It gets rowdy.
Yes, and
It
it's
sure does.
known to fail, and it's usually in houses that are 100 years old have that. The sort of middle option is your hot water radiators, which are usually the baseboard style radiators where they pump hot water through them, and that's relatively efficient. And then there's forced air, which is essentially duct work where they blow hot air through them, and it's the vents in the floor, and the hot air comes up through them. It's the same vents you would use for central air, which is why a lot of homes that have one usually have the other. And why if you get a home with forced hot air, you can easily add central air by just plugging in the machine to the vents that are already installed. It's very expensive to add vents to a house that doesn't have them. So
Yes, I can imagine that would be the case.
yes. So you got to be very, and oil is only going up at this point. So gas is a pretty efficient option. But a lot of 8% of homes in the U.S. have heating oil. So it's not as common as it used to be. But it's not the sexiest part of a house, but it is interesting.
It is
Any
important.
other features?
Nothing. A garage is a great plus. Reasonable yard. Obviously, the house has to be in good shape. Other than that, I'm pretty flexible. Obviously, more bedrooms, more bathrooms, that kind of stuff. But
If you, in the course of your house hunt, as they say, had to be on one HGTV show, you have to be on one.
Yeah.
It's just part of the cosmic, deal. Which one would you be on in your course?
I mean,
of your house hunt?
you got to do House Hunters. I mean, I don't even know how you have this discussion. You got to House Hunters is because I don't.
Oh, you could get the remodeling one and get a bunch of free shit for your house.
Well, here's the thing, Dan. This is a little insider
That
tip. A lot of people
that
don't know
shit
this.
is free.
Do you know who pays for those renovations? The homeowners.
Obama. Oh.
No, the homeowners most. Now, usually they get some amount of
Thanks,
compensation
Obama.
for being on the show, but it does not cover the full cost of the renovation. So it's not. They don't get that for free.
Well, it's
That's what-
free stuff if you're going to be renovating it anyways.
I mean, you get the designer for free essentially. You just don't pay their fee.
Right.
Which is, I guess, a value. But no, I want to go on House Hunters. The problem is I don't, two people, you have to go on it with somebody. You can't go on it alone. No one wants to go on House Hunters. You guys want to go on House Hunters with me?
I'd be your house hunter pal. Like there are people who go on.
I don't know why
with,
people
like,
say
a
no.
friend.
I've asked a bunch of people, and they're like, I don't want to do it.
I
Like,
would
it'd
do
be-
that for
it'd be
your
awesome.
house. Who cares?
It'd be great.
Yeah. I don't know if
My
I'd do it
house
if it
was
was
like,
me.
No way.
Yeah. I would do this old house, but I'm not wealthy enough, I don't think.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because they absolutely pay for all the shit on that show.
Have you guys ever seen Trading Spaces?
Is that the one where they switch?
Where the neighbors switch house, and they decorate a room in each other's houses? They just brought it back. So this was on like 10 years ago, and they just rebooted it, and it's awesome if you ever get to see it. Maybe one of these weeks I'll pick it. But the plot is neighbors switch houses, and they each decorate a room in the other person's house with designer help. But the designers are fucking insane. And they people literally get because then they reveal it, and people get pissed off. It's awesome. It's so great because you're like,
Is this some sort of revenge scenario for these people? Or are they just
No, they're
terrible
friends.
at picking things out?
no, what it is it's some of the design, half the designers are good, but half the designers are really eclectic. So there's a famous episode where one designer glued hay to all the walls in the room. And of course
Okay.
it didn't go well, and there was one episode where they took out all the flooring and replaced it with sand to make a
Sure.
beach room. And then
That's amazing.
it's absolutely crazy. It's crazy.
Sean, I would visit your beach room all the time.
I'd be cool with it. I'd be great with it. But
And that sand must get really dirty after a couple of years.
when you
though.
track it all over the house, and
after a couple of
Probably
tiki
gotta
parties.
replace it.
the cat uses it as the bathroom. It's not good for anyone. Zach in the chat room says Trading Spaces designs are so bad. Yeah. Occasionally, I would say 1/3 of them are really nice, and then the rest are very, very rough. And Zach also says, will this update be like House Hunters, where we will be given 3 houses and try to decide which one you picked? Yeah, maybe when I pick my house on the show, you two can try and decide which of the 3 houses I actually bought. How's that?
Ooh,
Oh, I
exciting.
see. So you'll present us with after the fact.
Yes.
That's less brave of you, but
Yes.
still fun.
Yeah.
Isn't that how House Hunters works,
It
though?
is.
Like, they've already picked the house?
Yep. Yeah. Usually they're in
Wait,
the
what?
process. Yeah. Usually they're in the process of closing on it or have already bought it when they tape the show.
Are you kidding me?
No. And the main reason for that is because they don't want them to go to the 3 houses and then like the sale falls through and they don't end up buying one. So they want to know for a fact you own one of those 3 houses.
I always
before.
figured that they got it with a point where it's down to 3, or that they filmed probably several more than 3 viewings.
No, sometimes the other 2 houses they don't buy are houses they never even looked at in the first place in the house hunt itself.
Man,
It's all a lie, Dan.
That explains why those people are so awkward, because they're lying the whole time. They're acting.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be so bad because in the house I ended up buying, I'd be like, no, everything here is great. I should definitely buy this house.
This seems to check all my boxes.
Yeah, wow.
Wow. Oh, boy.
So anyway, we'll keep you folks up to date
That's
on
very exciting.
the thrill that is the hunt. The thrill of the
That
hunt.
is exciting.
The thrill of spending too much money. All right. On that note, let's go ahead and talk about some tech news. What do you guys say?
Let's do it. I've never been more ready.
Nothing to it but to do it. And we've got a bunch of stories in here. We got stuff from Uber, Google, Square, Spotify, Windows.
I feel like there was a lot of controversial stories this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we have any of them in the rundown, but if you'd like to suggest one.
Yeah, well, I don't have a story to link for this, but did you read about the Google employees resigning because of the Department of Defense contract that Google has?
I did hear about that.
I think that would be an interesting one to talk about. Just to ignore our rundown entirely, if that's okay with you.
You're just,
So
you're just throwing me for a loop?
Right. The basic idea is that, and I don't know the specific details of the program, but that Google is being reimbursed by the government to help them use open source software that Google has released to tag objects, basically to tag different parts of images from drone footage with what those things are. So like, this is a house, and that's a person, and this is a tree. And
is that what our CAPTCHAs are doing, man?
Yeah, you're training drones,
you see
Colby.
a CAPTCHA that looks like drone footage, you're probably okay.
Okay.
But maybe if you see one of those, let me know. So yeah, these Google employees, apparently, I don't know, a significant number resigned. I don't know if they said how many.
About a dozen.
About a dozen.
But nearly 4,000 have signed an internal petition asking Google to cancel the contract with what is Project Maven, a subset of the Pentagon's JEDI program, Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure.
Can the government stop with these Star Wars and JEDI programs?
It's great. I love it. It's so cheesy.
Oh boy. It's a shame because I'm sure there's like, I don't know, some useful thing that they use that for, but a useful and like not objectionable thing that they use that for, but I'm sure for every like one of those, there are dozens of others that it'll be used for now or later.
Yeah. I see the point. I think one argument I saw was that this is all open source anyways, so it's not like the government wouldn't be doing this. It's not like we're enabling them to do it. But then the other argument that I saw that was really compelling was it's not like Google needs this money. It's not even like all that much money. First of all, Google has a magic money printing machine in the basement, so they don't need money at all. Certainly not this little bit. So why embroil yourself in it? Which I thought that was a good argument. What do you think, Shaun?
I think it's interesting that I don't really know if these employees are making the right decision in their shoes. I don't know what decision I would make. I do strongly commend them for the willingness to stand up and do something about their beliefs so strongly they would quit their job. I think that's an honorable thing to do if you really believe in these positions. I think I agree with you from Google's side. I don't think they have to do it, but at the same time, if Google doesn't do it, one of their competitors will. And if you look at it from that perspective, again, I don't want to put words in Google's and their executives' mouths, but why let someone else do it when we can do it and we can control it and make sure it's done in a way that's as fair and ethical as possible, given the parameters of the project. Maybe they didn't come from that perspective, but at least I think that's one way you could spin it to say, hey, this will go on with or without us, so we might as well get on board. And use it to have I mean, we wouldn't know about this project if Google didn't publicly talk about it. So I do think there's value in that.
Yeah. Would you? So it doesn't sound like you would have resigned. It sounds like you had a job at Google.
It's hard to say. I mean, I think
maybe you don't want to say this for your Google interview. That you'll have
Google, I would love to work on your secret drone AI project. Please sign me up. I have no experience, but
you could be their digital marketing specialist.
Yeah, I can tweet about their secret drone AI project. Good. Could you just imagine the tweets? Good news, everyone! We can tell the difference between a combatant and a civilian. That's a very bad idea. No. Would I resign if I were these people? Probably not. Probably not. But I'm not these people, so that's. And not because I agree or disagree with the project. I just think it would take a lot to get me to resign from a company. That it would have to be so if they were training AI to use the drones to kill people, then yeah, okay, you've got I don't see this as so it's egregious enough to protest and have a conversation about. I don't think it's egregious enough to resign over, at least from my perspective.
Fair enough.
I don't know if everyone has this thought, but I feel like it would be, there's a certain part of me that would like to do that someday when I was thinking about leaving a job anyways,
resigning
go out
in protest.
Yes, exactly. On principle.
That sounds very cathartic.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope though that you don't have that many occasions to that actually you're warned from the
Is this
outside.
something that comes up all the time?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's ever really come up at all. But.
Ever since they stopped having the smart water in the cafeteria. Yeah, I don't think future employers would look very kindly on.
No. Nope. But we'll see. That's interesting. I had no idea.
Good story, Dan.
Thanks.
Thrown into the mix.
Throwing it into the mix.
That's right.
That's what I do.
We're nothing if not agile. While you guys are looking for story number 2 for this evening, I do want to thank Zach and Rob for commenting on Twitch and on Facebook, joining us live as we do Monday nights at we'll say 10:15 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/don'tpanicshow and at facebook.com/don'tpanicshow. Either place you can get the stream. Join us, comment. We'll talk about you on the air. We love your opinions, and we appreciate it, Zach and Rob and everybody who joins us.
Ooh, okay, let's talk about Square Restaurant. I know all about the restaurant space.
I knew you'd be jazzed up about this story. I included it just for you, Dan.
Thank you.
Square, which you may know as the... they do a lot of stuff I was going to say the payments company, but really they do a lot of stuff these days. They're officially getting into the restaurant business with the launch of Square for Restaurants. It's a point-of-sale system that handles everything from menu updates, floor layouts, employee scheduling, and performance tracking. It will integrate with Square's other existing products, including payroll, capital, and more. They also previously acquired the on-demand food delivery startup Caviar, which will be integrated as well to handle the delivery aspect of the product.
Did not know that.
Now restaurants will be able to handle everything in one place. They They hope to one day include third-party applications from places like Postmates, Uber Eats, and DoorDash, but right now they're sticking with Caviar. It's in beta. More than 100 restaurants have used the product. It is charging $60 per month plus $40 per month for each additional POS setup.
That's pretty cheap.
Yep.
That's my first reaction.
Yeah, Dan, what do you think? Walk us through this product.
I know that this was kind of an open secret, and if you look at Square, like, it's obvious that they would do this.
Mm-hmm.
They already have enough for a not sit-down restaurant. Any sort of cafe, coffee place already uses Square a lot of the time. I didn't know that Square had acquired Caviar. That was new information for me. I wonder when Square will have, because I feel like the next logical step for all these companies is you go into the online space. So you say, oh, you don't have to use Seamless or Caviar. You can integrate. You can have your own branded experience. You can go to digin.com and order from there. You don't need to go through the app. We don't take as much of, maybe they don't take any service fee out of that, and it's just like a loss leader for getting $60+ a month. So that's where I would expect it to go next.
Yeah, I always thought it was crazy when I would, this more so in Houston than up here, but when I would go into a restaurant and they would have like 6 different tablets all on the counter or strapped to the wall because they had every kind of delivery service on, and they'd all be boop, 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 boop. There was, where did I go? I went to
Seamless order.
I picked up an order that I had placed online through DoorDash, no, not DoorDash, through Grubhub maybe. And I went in there, and they literally couldn't figure out where my order came from because they had so many of these services. They're like, wait, what app did you order from? And they were bound. It was no joke. It was confusing to them.
I've had that happen, too.
And it's crazy. So I agree with you. I think the idea that you could streamline this process, whether Square integrates these third parties or kind of builds it out on their own, either way, to streamline it for the restaurant in the same way they've sort of created point-of-sale systems for other types of businesses, I think you're right. It's a no-brainer for them, and I think a space ripe for them.
I agree.
Now I'm looking at this screenshot of the app in this article. Do they really have like timers on the table, like for how long? I assume this means like how long you've been. So some party has sat at a table.
Sure. Mm-hmm. That would be crazy. Good to know.
It looks like it. I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
It seems like a very simple.
I think it's not even necessarily for the reason I'm guessing you're thinking, which is to get people out the door, but maybe also so that you can notice who you like forgot about. Well, because in America, people won't initiate the closing out process.
I would bet too it's for restaurant flow purposes. If you have a certain set of tables where people sit longer than other tables, you might want to rearrange the restaurant or adjust where your wait staff spends their time. I'm sure you could do a lot with the analytics side of that.
I'd be curious to know how good their analytics is, because that is the hardest. That and taxes are the hardest part.
Yep. Yep. No, hey, cool. It is interesting. We'll certainly see if they can make a big impact.
Big impact.
Sounds like a
coming to theaters near you.
I was gonna say, sounds like a Michael Bay movie. Didn't he do? No, he did Armageddon, not Deep Impact, right? He did one of those two. Which he did Armageddon. Michael Bay.
He didn't do The Core.
No, The Core. We've talked about The Core. I fucking love The Core. Hilary Swank, Aaron Eckhart, The Core. That movie is bananas. When that is one of those, like, if I'm like flipping around on TV because I still have cable, and it's like on the Sci-Fi Channel, I will sit and watch the whole thing. That, and I got caught this weekend with Twister, which I always watch the whole way through because that movie is, again, bananas crazy. And I
haven't seen Twister since I was a child.
Oh man, you gotta. I would highly recommend catching Twister. It's TNT just runs it constantly, and it is as great as you remember it being.
Does one of the T's in TNT stand for Twister?
Yeah, it's Twister and Twister. The second T also stands for Twister. Okay, cool, wonderful. Chugging along here.
Let's talk about the Google I/O stuff.
Oh my God, they were just
like there's a lot going on.
So much stuff.
Google
and we're only going to get through a fraction of it, so we'll try and focus on the big stuff. Android P, they added a few things. Some gestures, iPhone X-like gestures, a new dashboard that's meant to show how you're spending time on your device, including time spent in apps, how many times you've unlocked your phone, some kind of data stuff. And you can even set individual time limits for specific apps if you want to cut down on using your phone. Android P coming later this summer, but a public beta is available today for a handful of smartphones.
Very cool. I read a different article that said it was talking about Android P stuff, and it said there's a new thing where, like, if you put your phone face down, it'll be like do not disturb mode.
Oh,
and I want that.
Do phones not do that? That seems like I don't want to say an obvious idea, but it seems like kind of an obvious idea.
It doesn't seem like. I think that's what the person who wrote the article said, because it was like that's what people do anyway. It's like if you don't want to see your things, you turn your phone face down. It's so obvious.
That's an interesting idea.
Well, that gets, I don't know. I think that makes sense if your phone is the way you're interacting with it, but with my watch, I wouldn't necessarily want that. And like, how does it work if you're sitting down, you take your phone out, and then you put it back in your pants face down? Does that count as... Yeah.
I suppose an open question is how well it knows whether it's like face down on a table or not.
Right.
I think that can't they use AI to know if your phone's in your pants? Like that sounds like a good application of AI. Yes, you can, Dan.
That's not how it works.
Pants AI. Pants AI. Build a custom AI. Like is my phone in my pants.com, and it's custom AI to answer that question. It's simple yes or no.
Yes.
Get the Silicon Valley boys right on it.
Yeah, man, I'll take care of it. Let me ask you guys this. You know, we talk about, I just mentioned the usage dashboard. It'll talk about how many minutes you've used your phone, how many notifications you've received, how long you've used each app on your phone. And the idea is to make it more responsible that people are spending too much time on their phones and to give you answers to the questions you have about how often you're using your phone. Do you guys think this is a useful feature for folks, and would you use it if your phone had it available?
So I've used there's an app on iOS called Moment, I think, that purportedly does something along the same lines where it like, I don't quite know. I think it's like a pile of hacks to like figure out when your phone's open or not.
Sure.
And you can go through and see like, hey, you use this app for 2 hours this week, and you use this app for, whatever, and you can see like it broken down by day. And I found that it was like exactly what I expected. Like, on the weekends, I use my phone more than I do on the the weekdays. And I don't know, if it's like when it's like rainy, I tend to sit inside and do nothing more than when it's not rainy. I didn't find it particularly insightful. I think I use it, and it's still on. They do this weird thing where you have to like screenshot your battery usage screen, and that's the way they like, I don't know. They calculate something by that, which is cool that it works, but annoying. This week I got annoyed that it kept asking me to screenshot my battery info. Mm-hmm. So I think I might be done with it. But I guess my point is,
yeah, I would absolutely use this, and I'm annoyed. I already started downloading it, not realizing that you have to use it like that.
Yeah,
that sounds really annoying.
I don't think you have to do that. I don't quite remember. There is some information it gets from that it doesn't get the rest of the time. But it does, even if you don't do the battery info screenshots, it does have like other information that it can give you that it gives you about like how you're using your phone and stuff.
Yeah.
I would be all about this. I love this kind of information. It's just fun to see. I wish my phone gave it to me.
I think it's useful if it's actionable, which there's I didn't dig into it. On Android P, they have a lot of new do not disturb type stuff. For example, when you turn do not disturb on, your notifications literally disappear. They don't show up on the lock screen or in the notification drawer. They do an aggressive job of that. They do a thing where they gray out your phone screen, where if you hit your limit that you set, if you've used an app too much. So there's a lot of action that goes with that data, which I think is where the value comes in. Simply knowing you use it a lot is cool, but not necessarily useful. And one other thing I'll mention, because this article says it, going back to our pants AI discussion, but it only works if the phone was sitting on the table to start. So you put it on the table face up and then flip it. If you set it face down after carrying it, it will not turn it on.
That makes sense. So we do have pants AI.
Google has figured out pants. Thank goodness.
Maybe not pants AI, but table AI.
Yes. The future is tables. Zach in the chat room says, not sure if you're talking about rescue time, but that has been really useful for finding out where I'm spending time. It tracks Chrome tabs and apps on the desktop and apps on the phone.
Yeah, I've used rescue time and it's great.
Indeed.
That is Android P. Let's talk about probably one of the more interesting announcements out of Google I/O, at least I thought, was Google Duplex.
This was the other controversial story. That's right.
Yes, boy was it. Google Assistant will soon be able to make calls on your behalf. What it does, it's AI. Unsurprisingly, everything they talked about was AI. But the way it works is it completes conversations and tasks on its own without any intervention from a person. It does it fully autonomously, without human involvement. It has self-monitoring capability, which allows it to recognize the task it cannot complete autonomously. In this case, it signals to a human operator who can complete the task. Essentially, the examples they give are something like scheduling an appointment. So a Google robot would essentially call the hair salon and say, Shaun needs an appointment this week on Saturday. And then the person at the hair salon would say, thank you, Shaun, how about 3:30? And the machine would go, Shaun's calendar is blocked at 3:30. How, whatever. They have a little sound bite that gives you an example of what it sounds like, but it sounds like a person.
I think it actually sounded more like a person than your
I didn't do it
imitation of a machine sounded like a person.
Yeah, I don't normally sound like a person, so it was a struggle. But they're doing early testing inside Assistant this summer, but no word on when it will roll out super broadly. They're really starting with specific tasks like scheduling. But there is a bit of controversy over wiretap laws and controversy around
wiretap laws?
Yeah, so there is an issue where because Google is recording the call, they need to tell. In many states, they have to say they're recording the call.
Are they? They're recording the call
for quality assurance. Yes, they are.
All right. It just doesn't seem like they have to.
It varies. It's a state by state law. You don't have to in every state. But in some states,
it doesn't seem like they have to record it.
No, I would assume they don't have to. You're right, but they are.
Maybe it depends on. Right. Like obviously they have to send the audio back to the computers at some point.
Yeah.
Whether or not they hold on to it.
Yeah. So there's some questions around that. The other question is just simply the sort of moral thing of should the computer identify itself as a computer. Initially, Google was non-committal on that. They came out later after some hubbub and said, yes, we expect it will identify itself as Google when it calls these places.
That makes sense.
So, guys, good idea or not so
I
good?
think it's a good idea. Listen, calling places is annoying, especially because oftentimes the audio quality is terrible. Like the person who picks up on the other end, there's like a bunch of noise in the background. You can't hear what they're saying. And I don't, so that's one reason it's good. I think the reason it's bad is if it sucks and people use it, I think that's the worst case scenario, because then these poor people who, already have a lot to do are stuck negotiating with computers like a phone tree.
Right. It's like the Comcast customer service menu, but it calls you.
But in reverse. Yeah.
Oh no.
In Soviet Russia. So if it's good, I think, this is fine. But if it sucks, but people still use it because they're not exposed as the person making the call to how terrible it is, then I think that's really bad. And I think there's a lot of accessibility reasons why this could be useful too. If you have a speech impediment or something.
That's true.
And so the thing about should it identify itself as a computer, I don't really care if it does. If it's good, I don't care if it does. I don't see the moral argument there. But maybe you can convince me, Shaun.
I don't see it from a moral standpoint. I actually kind of agree with you, Dan, that morally I don't, as long as you're not trying to lie to them or cheat them, you're not posing. I guess it comes in as it's posing as a real person, and that's a lie. And I don't necessarily buy
We're all
that.
posing as real people.
Dan, do you need to talk about something?
But in reality, sometimes we just make mac and cheese for dinner,
It is the cheesiest. I think the issue is not necessarily a moral one. I just think it is a sort of ease of using the system. I think frustrations will come in if this thing launches and it's not quite perfect enough. I think if people know they're talking to a computer, I think they'll be more patient and understanding. I think people will get frustrated, especially the people being called, will be more frustrated more quickly if they think they're talking to a person and it keeps screwing up and says things people wouldn't say. I think to me that I think it would make the system more effective if people knew it was a computer versus thinking it was a person. Unless it is really truly that good that it's indistinguishable from a person.
Right. I think that's the danger. If I was a Google engineer, and I don't know if I agree with this, but I would be saying, hey, hang on. We don't want them to know it's a computer because then they'll interact with it differently.
I can imagine a world where you can tell it's a computer and it calls you and you just hang up.
Yeah. Right.
If it's in a world where it's hard for the person on the other end to deal with this thing, right? If it is the customer service phone tree of robotic personal assistants, I don't know. If it's obtuse enough, I can imagine people just hanging up on it, and that would be bad. Well, that would be bad for this thing's future.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be really interesting in practice. I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't.
Were you impressed by the demo?
Yeah. I mean, but it was a pre-recorded demo. I mean, we all remember Google Glass, so I'm not getting ahead of myself on that.
They didn't skydive in from the ceiling this time.
Yeah, but at least let's all look back for a moment. That was pretty cool.
That was the best.
That is the
live demo post 2000.
Easily. Yeah.
iPhone was cool. Skydiving though.
That was. I think at least it was the most exciting. Maybe the iPhone one was the most impactful, but. Definitely the excitement when they're doing doing kick flips on the roof, and they're oh man, that was. I gotta go rewatch it. I haven't watched that. I gotta go rewatch that. That was great.
Me either.
Maybe it's really lame now in retrospect.
Hmm.
I bet it is because you know how it ends.
Yep. Badly for Google.
All the commercials for failed companies. When you watch the documentary about how the company failed, it's oh boy.
Yep. Yep.
Should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
All right. We got some other stuff from the Google announcement. I don't know how many of these we're going to touch on. We talked previously on the show about smart displays with Google Assistant built in. They're coming this summer, starting shipping in July. So there's that. Google Maps is getting a bunch of updates. They're getting a new For You tab that lets you follow specific neighborhoods to see new restaurant and businesses that are trending among other users in a social-like way, and coordinate with friends in real time to make a short list when choosing a place to eat at. It's also getting augmented reality directions. Is pairing AI with Street View data to give you an interactive AR turn-by-turn experience when you're on the move. If you saw the demo for that, it was quite neat.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I want this Google Lens thing that's up next. Oh, that's in a couple.
Well, we can jump. There's no rules here. Google Lens is getting some updates. You'll be able to point your phone's camera at text in the real world, grab that text, and then paste it into a text field on your smartphone. They also believe they will be able to identify clothing. Point a camera at a piece of clothing, and you will be able to buy it from internet retailers.
That's kind of weird. Can you imagine just like walking down the street and being like, "Hey, I like that shirt.
I want that shirt.
Give me.
Let me take a picture of your shirt. I want to buy it." I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Something neat about that. And lastly, a couple more AI things. Google Photos is getting smart editing powers. You can separate subjects from the backgrounds in photos, pop the color, turn it black and white. They can also colorize old non-colored photos. And Google News has AI, just making sure the stories are more relevant.
Colorizing photos.
Yes, old black and white photos, which is crazy. Crazy. So there you go. That's all of the Google I/O stuff.
All the Google News fit to print.
That's right, which is apparently not much. We don't print here. Okay. We're out of time for stories, sort of. We got time. We can do one more if we really want to get to one. Otherwise, we're going to picks, which I know we have a lot.
I know. We there's so many picks. I think we really got to get to them. As much as we want to talk about Windows tabs and Uber rating drivers mid-drive, I think the picks are going to be more important.
They always are. I mean, this is what people tune in for. And then if we do have extra time at the end, we can always do a Westworld minute. So let's...
I watched Westworld this time. I'm up to speed.
Prepare.
Good job, Colby.
Yeah, I have thoughts.
Got back on track.
Let's jump into picks. It's the part of the show where we each bring something we want to share that we've been enjoying, and we want to put it out there for the world to see as well. I will go first because mine's in the sheet. I have another new podcast. This has to, I think, be the 100th podcast we've picked on the show over the years. And mine is Off Book, which I don't think I've talked about this on the show. But have I talked about this on the show before?
No,
I don't think so. This is a fun one. I've really skewed into the sort of comedy podcast side. I really do no news or factual type stuff anymore. And this one is a ton of fun. It is an Earwolf show, and the essential plot is it is an improvised musical podcast. And so they have a live piano player there, and they literally just, over the course of an hour, make up a musical with both dialogue and songs, and they sing them. It's all on the fly, and they bring in very fun guests. Jess and Zach are the hosts, and it is a very, very funny way to enjoy. There's music and there's singing and it's goofy and it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to spend an hour. It's called Off Book. You can get it wherever you get podcasts. I recommend giving it a shot. This most recent episode was very good. Maybe a good place to start. Each episode is its own separate thing, so you can jump around, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Off Book. You can enjoy that. Colby, what do you have for us?
Nice. So the weather sort of got nice again, and then it got cold. But like mostly it's nice. And so I had to take out my sneakers. And last year, for logistical reasons, mostly that Dan and I decided to go to Hawaii on like a week and a half's notice, I had to buy shoes not off the internet. I had to go to a store and buy shoes, and I hate them. But I like... So my pick is the Vivo barefoot shoes that I've definitely picked before on the show. They're like...
You haven't. I checked.
Really?
Unless you picked them right in the beginning.
Well, I guess if I never picked them before, I'm picking them now because they're my favorite shoes. I have like very wide and flat feet, and shoes with little to no sole action are my favorite to wear. And these are I feel like the ones that I like to wear. They have like athletic shoes, but they also have like leathery, more everyday shoes and stuff too. So if that sounds like something you'd like to wear, check it out.
These are some great looking shoes.
They're a little expensive, unfortunately, and the sizes are European, but you can figure it out.
What?
As far as shoes go, these aren't insane.
Oh no, they come in U.S. sizes.
Oh, do they?
Well, the website says select U.S. size.
See, that's new. That's new stuff.
Oh.
All the ones I own are like size 37 or something.
Oh, but they just asked me how many milliliters my foot was. I don't know, guys. Maybe they have a conversion. No, this is great. Check it out. vivobarefoot.com. These are good looking shoes. I'm always in the market for shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I've really gotten into shoes recently.
Ooh, interesting.
But I don't own that many shoes.
Saying that shoes are the easiest way to spruce up your clothes.
Yeah, you two are really my fashion icons that I take so much lead from, because you guys are always with the cool, like, oh, check out my jacket or my shoes or my bag, and I'm like, these guys are so hip. I could be cool like these guys. And I do a poor job at it, but I'll keep trying. Okay, you guys keep buying the stuff, and I'll keep saying eventually that I'll buy it.
Someday.
All right.
Cool, Dan. You got back-to-back games. You had a game last week.
A couple weeks ago, I bought some games on Steam and I played around. One of them was BattleTech. The other one was Frostpunk. Frostpunk is like a city builder game, kind of like kind of like The Sims, but kind of post-apocalyptic steampunk. So your group of survivors finds a hole in like the tundra and starts a city there, and you have to balance warmth with how like far out your city radiates from the place where it's warm, with like sending out expeditions to get food, with how hard you work people, with how cold it is, how do you handle things like amputations. There's all these like crazy moral choices like you might find in an RPG game that pop up occasionally. So it's good fun. And also not $60, is that right?
It's
also
$30.
not $60.
Yeah.
$29.99.
Yeah, so it's just for Windows though, sadly, this one, which is why I didn't pick it before. But if I'm reading the website correctly, it looks like other platforms are coming soon.
Yeah, it was just released last month, so it's a brand new, hot off the presses game.
I am not reading the website correctly. It does not say other platforms are coming soon. I take it back.
I mean, why would you want to have it anywhere other than Windows?
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. If you happen to have a Windows computer, it's pretty cool. It's a very beautiful, like, the city you end up with is really beautiful and radial. Like, you don't build that out in a grid like a lot of other city building games. You build it out in a circle. It's pretty cool.
Did look pretty cool.
Neat.
Some nice screenshots.
Check it out. Frostpunk on Steam. $29.99 for Windows. Awesome. Awesome stuff, guys. Good picks all the way around. We do still have some time left.
Westworld.
Let's talk a little bit about Westworld. We just, if you're trying to...
spoiler horn.
The following is rated S for spoilers. Now, if you're, for some reason, listening to this episode at some point in the future, we just finished episode 4 of the second season of Westworld.
That's right.
So we don't know what comes after that, but we do know what happened before that. What do you guys, what's grabbing you? What's exciting for you about Westworld? Any theories or anything? What do you want to share?
Did we talk about okay, that's not related to this episode, though. Theories.
I have a theory.
Okay, let's hear your theory.
I had this theory after episode 2, and I was too timid to say anything about it, and now I'm feeling both more confident and less confident in it. And my theory, while not radical, was that I guess I kind of was right, but it's human cloning. They're doing human cloning, and I guess we kind of found out this week that's sort of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But my whole thing was it's much more human than it is robot.
Interesting.
And then my twist on the theory, everything on the show fits together for the most part. In the end, I'm confident it will fit together. The one part of the show I cannot figure out why we're supposed to care about it is Maeve's daughter. Why do we give a shit about Maeve's daughter?
Well, I think that that's not that far out, because we saw Dolores kind of care about her dad, or air quotes dad, even though she had no reason to.
I get the love part of it and the sort of the higher level storytelling. I get that, but I'm thinking there has to be. What happens when they find her? What's the end of that journey? Like, why is the journey being spent to find her? I think she has more to do with the plot.
Okay, all right. So, what's your theory there?
She is the first human clone.
Uh-huh.
And that's why she's valuable.
The first
Maeve
human
or
clone?
Maeve's daughter?
No, Maeve's daughter is the first human clone.
But then when she...
That it was
How old
secretly
is
hiding in the
Maeve,
park.
though?
Well, Maeve's a robot.
I know, but is she, like, 40 years old? Because, like, under what circumstances would this person still be in the park if they're human?
No, but
I guess they might not know that they're human.
So my theory is Maeve's daughter is essentially human, but as a test, they put her in the park as a test, and she keeps, because does she ever get killed? I don't remember in the first season if she ever dies in the first season.
Well, she gets taken by the Ghost Nation.
Yes, and I think it's part of the test. I think it's part of testing her out in the park, in the same way we learned this week, Mr. Delos in his little chamber, except she's being tested out in the park.
Interesting.
See if she can if her body will stand up. That's my crazy theory, is that I'll leave it a little more vague. Maeve's daughter has something to do with the plot. It's not just that it's Maeve's daughter. She's up to something. She's not a normal host.
Well,
that is my guess.
Yeah.
It's not very good, and I got thrown this week with the whole, like, Mr. Delos, he's part robot, part human. I'm like, well, it's not quite cloning, but I'm like, they're definitely, but why are they collecting people's DNA? You know, there's something going on. I don't know. What are you guys thinking about that?
I don't think that they're doing human cloning. I think they're doing human, like, recreation. And that collecting people's DNA, there's tons of uses. Imagine being able to surreptitiously kill off a senator and then just replace them.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. But I thought before we learned, when I thought this 2 weeks ago, I thought that it was going to be more cloning than it is the sort of robot human hybrid piece. I thought it was going to be straight up like human cloning. And that at the center of the park is a big warehouse filled with bodies in cryogenic chambers of all the guests that they've cloned, just waiting to be activated. Which is way too obvious, so I know that's not it. But
we also, though, know that they haven't figured out how to do it yet. Because William is, when we see the last interaction between William and Mr. Delos, he looks like didn't happen that long ago.
Absolutely. I mean, it was after the death of his wife, so we know it was somewhat recently. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
My big theory is that where William is going, the modern day William, that this weapon thing is somehow tied up into this. I don't really know how, but that Ford isn't, he's not handing him this weapon in the same way that, like, I imagine he probably is trying to hand Dolores this weapon. I think it's a trick, and I think the trick will have something to do with this. will William find his wife reincarnated as a robot? Will he find... yeah, that's my big theory.
What
His
if he,
wife.
I think the craziest one was that he'll find like him. This is one I heard. I think on Decoding Westworld, they suggested that maybe he'll find himself, his younger,
and then
like younger.
That's a good one.
and he can fall in love with Robot Dolores.
Exactly.
I love that theory.
Yes.
I love that theory.
Yes.
I'm super on board with that.
Yeah. The other thing I keep wondering about, I don't know. I've talked to some people who think that Dolores and or Maeve and or the other robots who are like have like awoken, maybe they're not awoken and they're still on a loop. Like, are they still doing Ford? Is Ford still like the puppet master from beyond the grave or not?
I feel like that takes out all the weight from season 1, and I'd be very sad if it were true.
Yep,
it would be bad storytelling.
That's fair.
Who do you think's in the blood orb?
The blood orb, like the little brain thing.
Yeah, whose brain were they printing?
I don't know. Did Bernard say there was another person at the end? He did say that, right? The one he took, that's the blood orb, you mean?
Yeah. I have a crazy theory. It's not. I was expecting it. So as soon as Elsie was like, whose brain is it? I thought, isn't it awfully like suspicious that Bernard would take out Elsie because she knows too much, but not kill her, give her a bunch of protein bars and drop her off in front of this lab that Ford is later going to lead him to via zombie what's her name? I think he printed her.
Elsie?
And that she's a robot.
Oh.
Why let her live? Bernard was clearly not in control. Why would Ford let her live if he truly believed that she knew too much? Yeah, I mean, and maybe this is reading too much into it, but she looked immaculate for having laid in the dirt for, what, a week?
That is true.
Maybe it's only been a couple days, but still.
That's true. It could be Ford.
Yeah.
It could be Ford.
It could be, but that would suck.
I feel like that also takes out all the weight of what he did.
That's true.
For meant to believe that he's like some noble martyr.
That's
the
part
change
of
of
the
heart.
that's part of the problem I always had with I've always tried to watch those CW superhero, the Arrow and the Flash, and the problem with those shows is no one ever dies. They always come back all the fucking time. And your show, either pick it one way or the other, but if you're going to kill off your characters, damn it, kill them off. You know, don't do this BS where they're gone for a while and then suddenly they come, and then you're like, you never trust anyone's actually dead. And I like to think that they're smart enough on Westworld to be like, no, if we're going to kill somebody, they're really dead. You know, it's already, in my opinion, I think it's, yeah, I get it, Ford is super smart and all that, but like the fact that the robots are still talking to William as Ford, and I'm like, how far in advance did he really program this thing out? Like, I'm letting it go for now, but I'm kind of pushing, like, how far in advance could you really plan this kind of stuff? When you're, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent question.
And we learned this week that William's daughter isn't. That's who that was in Raj World. His daughter,
right?
Which is fun. Which is a treat.
Awesome.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of interesting scenes. I feel like that come out of that.
Yeah. And we learned in the next week on segment that next week will be all about apparently Maeve and.
Yeah, I also like how they're doing this Game of Thrones like focus on one part of the story thing. I don't really remember that happening last season.
There are a lot of they're juggling a lot of storylines.
Yes.
They definitely did it a couple times last season, but I feel like not as intensely focused. It seems like the next episode is just gonna be about Maeve and company.
Yep, we'll have to see how that goes. That'll be interesting. All right, well, we're out of time for the Westworld Minute. It was more like the Westworld 10 minutes.
Good talk.
But that's okay. Come back next time. We'll talk more Westworld. Definitely come back next time because we will have a great show at don'tpanic.io. That's our website. You can go there and get all the episodes, the audio, the video, and, of course, links to the picks. If you don't remember them, the links will be right there on the website as they always are. And, of course, you can subscribe to the show anywhere you get podcasts, including iTunes, Overcast, and any of the major popular players. We are likely there. And, of course, the video version on YouTube. And you can get in contact with us at Don't Panic Show on Twitter and don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. We will be back next Monday night, I assume, live in the evenings, facebook.com/don'tpanicshow, and I mentioned Twitch as well. And I will very briefly mention, on top of all that, GameNights.tv, where we're playing Dungeons & Dragons. At some point in the next week or two, there'll be another new episode, and this one will be genuinely a real hoot. You're not going to want to miss that. We get into some shenanigans. And, of course, you can check out Up for Debate at upfordebate.tv. Myself and Matt, last week we did an episode all about collecting and collections and some fun collections. And we asked the big question, will people still be collecting things in the future? Or is collecting on its way out? What's the answer? You'll have to tune into the episode to find out. And this coming week, we're going to be talking about college and the college experience. And what does it mean to be in college? And how is college changing in the future? It's going to be a fun episode, and you can get that at upfordebate.tv. But we got to wrap this one up. So thanks, everybody out there, for joining us on behalf of Colby and Dan. I am Shaun. Hope you had as much fun as we did. We'll see you next time for more tech news and good times here on Don't Panic.